Hello YouTube! We're on the Real Programming channel. I'm its host. My name is Andrei. I greet you. Welcome. This is our 26th lesson. We'll talk about HTML, PHP and MySqL and topic how we demand valid data entered into the form. Okay. And let's talk about this. Demand good form data. Elmer's sent mail forms it's in need of validation, which is a process of checking to make sure form data is okay before doing anything with it. Elmer already used validation, even though he doesn't call it that. Whenever he receives an order of Elvis gear, he doesn't just immediately fill it and send it out. He validates it first. In the case of an order, Elmer first checks to see if the customer's credit card is valid. If so, he fills the order and gets it ready to ship. But then he has a check if the customer's shipping address is complete. If that check out, then Elmer goes ahead and sends out the order. A successful order for Elmer's store always hinges on the validation of the other order data. Validation means making sure the data you get is the data you expect. So, Elmer has to validate the credit card of each customer before filling their order. The shipping addresses must be complete. The order only ships if the credit card and the shipping address are valid. To solve Elmer's blank email problem, we need to validate the form data delivered to the sendmail.php script. This means the form data is submitted from the client web page sendmail.html to the server, and the server sendmail.php checks to make sure all the data is present. We could add code to sendmail.php that examines the value in the text boxes and checks to make sure they aren't empty. If everything checks out okay, the script sends out the emails. Okay, 1. Elmer fills out and submits the send mail form. The form data is sent to the send mail script on the server. And 3. The PHP script validates the data. It's good if it sends out the emails. If not, it sends an error back to the client. And 4. The server sends an HTML response back to the browsers, either that the email was sent or that the form data was invalid. Okay, the logic behind send email validation. Elmer needs to validate the data that gets from the sendmail.html form before he sends any emails. In fact, sending the emails should completely hinge on the data validation. What we really need PHP to do is make a decision based on the validity of the form data received by the sendmail.php script. We need code that says if that data is valid, go ahead and send the mails. These two conditions must be met in order for the data to be considered valid. Okay. If a subject contains text and body contains text, then send mail. If both conditions are met, everything cool, and we can send the mails out. We've been sending all the mails without worrying about what if anything is entered in this form field. With the help of validation, we can make sure no mails are sent unless both form fields contain data. There are no dumb questions. I have also heard of validating data on the client instead of on the server. How does it work? The web browser is considered the client, so client-side validation would be any checking that occurs before the data sent to the PHP script languages. Like JavaScript can do client-side validation. If you're interested in learning more, check out First JavaScript, which discusses client-side validation in depth. So, why use server-side validation instead of client-side? If we validate on the client, only part of the problems solved, Elmer's could potentially browse directly to send mail.php and send out a blank email. But if we validate on the server, it solves both problems. Blank data in the form will be detected, as well as blank data from the PHP script being directly loaded. This isn't to say that it's wrong to validate on the client. In fact, it's a very good idea. But the server is the last line of defense for catching bad forum data, so server-side validation can be ignored. Your code can make decision with if. The PHP if statement lets your code make decision based on whether or not something is true. Consider Elmer's orders again. Before filling an order, Elmer must get paid, which means charging the customer's credit card. If the customer gave Elmer the wrong card number, he can't fill the order. So Elmer performs a kind of real-world validation on every order that goes like this. If the customer's credit card checks out, go ahead and fill the order. We can translate this scenario to PHP code using the if statement, which is designed to handle just this kind of decision making. The basic if statement has three parts. 1. The if keyword that starts off the statement. 2. The test condition. The test condition or conditional expression is located in the parentheses right after the if keyword. Is where you put the statement that you want to determine the validity or truth of. And 3. The action of an if statement directly follows the test condition and is enclosed in curly braces. Here is where you put the PHP code you want to execute if the condition is in fact true. And look on Sublime text. And don't forget, remember, you'll find all the code and materials of this lesson under this video in the description, link to Google Drive Sublime Text Validator W3C. So, the statement begins with it. First, if, and 2. This is conditional. Let's call on a function to check and see if what's stored in $credit_card_ num is valid. 3. The ends the action. This is the action what PHP will execute if the condition is true. You can have as many lines of code here as you wish. And this hypothetical function returns true or false depending on the validity of the credit card. The breaks begins the action section. And this ends. This ends the action on this is of a statement. Okay, and testing or for truth. The heart of the if statement, it is a test conditional, which is always interpreted as either true or false. The test condition can be variable of a function call or a comparison of one thing to another. As a few examples, Elmer's credit card validation relies on a function call as the test condition, which means the value returned by the function is either true or false. The test condition is true or false. If the test condition is true, the action carried out. It's quite common to use a comparison as a test condition, which typically involves comparing a variable to some value. For example, maybe Elmer wants to give a discount to customers who live in Nevada. He could create an if statement that carries out a comparison on part of the shopping addresses, like this. This is true if the $shipping_state variable contains the text Nevada. A 10% discount is applied in the action if the test condition is true. This test condition performs A comparison for equality, which involves two equals signals with equal, like this. Equality comparison aren't just for variables and strings. You can compare variables to numbers, variables to variables, and even perform calculations. Okay, don't put quotes around numeric values. You can check to see if what is stored in one variable is equal to what is stored in another. You can carry out match operations in a test condition. If checks for more than just equality. And the logic behind send email validation, we'll talk about this in the next lesson. Okay, and here is our 26th lesson about HTML, PHP and MySqL is over. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, please put likes, share with friends, comment, eat bananas, chocolate and nuts, drink more water for the brain, do exercise every evening. That's all, thank you, bye.